Hi, everybody. This is lesson 7. Let's talk about major scales. What a sexy thing to talk about. There are 8 notes in a scale, and the 8 notes are organized always in the same way to make a major scale. It's a definition. The definition is 8 steps that are organized in the following way: whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, half step. 2 groups of 4 notes. Each of the 4 groups is a whole step and a half step. And those 2 groups of 4 notes are connected with a whole step. So you have whole, half, and whole, half, and in between that you have another whole step. The sort of first example that we use is the key of C major. If you have a keyboard, you will understand that all of the keys in the C major scale are white keys. That's why we start with that one. And you can really see the relationships. From C to D is a whole step. From D to E is a whole step. But from E to F is a half step. There's nothing between them. From F to G is a whole step. That's that whole step that's in the middle. Then from G to A is a whole step. From A to B is a whole step. And from B to C is a half step. That means that the half steps are between the 3rd and 4th notes of the scale and the 7th and 8th notes of the scale. Between 3 and 4 and 7 and 8 are half steps. All the rest of the steps are whole steps. And that is always true of every major scale. No exceptions. That's what I love about music. No exceptions. It's great. So a C major scale is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, because the half steps are between 3 and 4 and 7 and 8. But if we start on any other note of the scale, any other note of the keyboard, and try to create a major scale by using only white keys, there will be something wrong because you won't have the half steps in the right place. So I gave you a sheet of paper. Let's put it here. It is available on your email program. And here is the C major scale. I wrote it in both clefs. Here's the C major scale with the whole steps and the half steps marked and the names of the keys marked. This is review. You should know them. This is the G clef. This is the bass clef. Here are the names of the notes. Okay, now over here, I gave you the F scale, the key of F. That's what the key means. It means what scale are we using? What's the first and last note of the scale that we're using in this piece of music? So if it's in the key of F, then F is the first and last note. And here are the notes in the F major scale. Now remember, every single scale has one of every single letter. No more, no less, except that we do repeat. The first and the last notes are repeated. But other than that, you have one of every letter. You don't have 2 different kinds of F or 2 different kinds of B or anything else. You have one of everything. So here is an F major scale, and it needs a B flat. Why does it need a B flat? Because between 3 and 4 has to be a half step, and from A to B is a whole step. So we have to use B flat. That's the black key that occurs between A and B. So we have F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. And that is an F major scale. There's one flat in the key of F, and that flat is B flat. This is all different ways of saying the same thing. In order to play or sing or use an F major scale, you have to use these notes. These are the ingredients in the recipe. F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. Written it for you in the G clef and in the bass clef. Showing again where the half steps are and where the whole steps are. Compare this to this and you'll see that the pattern is exactly the same. It just starts on a different note. For instance, if I were to sing happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, you would know what I was singing. You would recognize it right away. What if I said happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you? You'd still recognize it, right? You'd still know it was that same song. And yet I sang them at 2 different places in my voice, lower and higher. I sang them in 2 different keys. I started with a different note. I was using a different set of ingredients. But I came out with the same song. It's just that it sounded different. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to, oh, that was bad. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Those are all happy birthday. They're just out in a different scale, accomplishing the same thing. Okay. Now down here, I'm giving you a little bit less information, but it's exactly the same pattern. Here's the key of G, and I've showed you where the half steps are between 3 and 4 and 7 and 8, because this is a major scale. It's a definition of a major scale. Key of G in the G clef, key of G in the bass clef. Okay? I've given you where the half steps are. Now, in order for the key of G to come out right, you have to have a half step between 7 and 8, which means you can't have an F, you have to have an F sharp. You have to be a half step away from the last letter G. So G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. So the key of G has one sharp, which is F sharp. So when you sing in the key of G, you need to know that all the Fs will be F sharp. If you're a piano player or some kind of an instrumentalist, you have to, push a different button for F sharp. If you're a singer, all you have to do is have a major scale in your mind, and you will sing the 7th note of the scale as an F sharp. It will just come automatically to you because your ear is so tuned to major scales. However, if the composer wants to change that F sharp for purposes of his or her own and make it an F natural, then you have to understand that the reason that there's a natural sign sitting in front of there is that we're expecting an F sharp. Because we're in the key of G. F sharp is expected in the key of G. Over here, I've given you the key of D, which has 2 sharps in order to make it right. D, E, F sharp, because between 2 and 3, we need a whole step. Between 3 and 4, we need a half step, so F sharp to G. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. It's a really good one to look at because the sharps come at exactly the same time in the 2 sets of 4 notes. So D, E, F sharp, G is the first set, and A, B, C sharp, D is the second set. And they are written in the same sort of order where the sharp comes on the 3rd note. D, E, F sharp, that's a whole step from E to F sharp, and then F sharp to G is a half step. A, B, C sharp, because you need a whole step from B to C sharp, and then C sharp to D because you need a half step between 7 and 8. So the half steps are between 3 and 4 and 7 and 8, just like they are in every other major scale. It's the definition of a major scale. You can't go wrong if you know the rule. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Now, here's your assignment. And this gets kind of interesting and takes a little time, a little thought, and a pencil with a good eraser because it's really easy to make mistakes. I have given you the first note, and I'm asking you to create major scales based on that note. So, for example, the note down here, there's a flat sign in front of that. That's a B flat. So you start with a B flat. So what's a whole step higher than a B flat? C. What's a whole step higher than C? D. What's a half step higher than D? E flat. What's a whole step higher than E flat? F. What's a whole step higher than F? G. What's a whole step higher than G? A. What's a half step higher than A? B flat. So you end up writing B flat, here it is, B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat. Now there's 2 B flats because that is the key note. But what we say is that there are 2 flats in the key of B flat, and E flat. We don't count the B flat twice. You have to write it both times, but you don't count it as a separate note because it isn't. So B flat and E flat are the 2 flats in the key of B flat. Likewise, I have given you F sharp. F sharp is really takes a lot of thinking. And I recommend that you get yourself to a keyboard or a picture of a keyboard and really look at where these notes are going from F sharp to the next note. It has to be a whole step higher than F sharp. What's that? Well, I'll tell you it's G sharp, but I'm not going to tell you all the rest of them. I need you to figure this out for yourself. That may take a little bit of time. But remember, as long as you've got the sharps and the flats where you need them in order to get 3 to 4 as a half step, and 7 to 8 as a half step, and all the rest of the steps are whole steps, then you've got it. Now, how do you sing a major scale? You know the sound. If you didn't know it from anything else, you knew it from the Sound of Music. C, D, E, F. Oh my goodness, I haven't sung for a while. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. You can hear the half steps. C, D, E, F, E, F, E, F, E, F. That's a half step. It's a small step. Whereas C, D is a bigger step. If we had a C sharp in there, it would be C, C sharp, D, da, da, dum, bum. No, it wouldn't. It's hard for me to do. Da, da, dum. We would have these half steps, which are very small. But you only find them between 3 and 4 and 7 and 8 in a major scale. So you should sing a major scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. You should be able to sing it backwards. C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. And you can point at them while you do it and give yourself a kind of a visual reference. You can also sing them on numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, where the half steps are between 3 and 4 and 7 and 8. You can even sing them on the syllables. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Now you know, if you sang it higher, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, it would still be a major scale. They sound the same because their relationships are the same. Music is really about relationships, how the notes function in a scale, how they make you want to go somewhere else. So when you get to do, re, mi, you're perfectly content to go back to do. Do, re, mi, do. But when you get to do, re, mi, fa, it really feels like you should keep going, doesn't it? There's a function there. The biggest function is 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That just demands that you go to 8. 8. If you don't, you frustrate yourself, you frustrate your listeners. So the function of the keys is really important, but first you've got to understand how to spell them. So spelling a major scale is something I really want you to do. I want you to understand that a key is about the first and last note of a series of 8 notes that are organized according to a certain pattern. I will tell you one more thing. The key signature, which we will be talking about and using forever, is a picture of the black notes that are needed to make the scale come out right. So in the key of G, G, A, B, C, D, F sharp, G, there is one black note and it's F sharp. So at the beginning of a piece of music, I'm not going to give you an example, I'm just going to tell you right now. At the beginning of a piece of music, first you're going to see the key signature. What key are we in? And you'll see one sharp sitting on the F line. And if you see that, then you know you're in the key of G. That's a picture of the black notes that are needed to make the scale come out right. So you're in the key of G, you have an F sharp to make the scale right, and there's an F sharp sitting in the key signature. It means all Fs are sharped in this song. And from that point on, the composer is not going to put a sharp sign in front of the F. He's going to assume that you will remember it and sing it or play it. That's what a key signature is. We talked about the key of B flat. It had 2 flats, B flat and E flat. The B flat, remember, is written twice, but it's the same note. So B flat and E flat are the flats in the key of B flat. So when you see a piece of music that starts with a B flat and an E flat written at the very beginning of the music, flats sitting on the B line and the E space, then you will know that you're going to be singing in the key of B flat and that your first note, your tonic, your home bass is B flat. And after a while, you get to know those. You don't need them right now, but after a while, you just get to know them. You see a signature and you know what it means, what key you're in. So it's important for you as musicians to understand what key you're singing in, to understand whether you have the tonic note, to understand whether you are the most important person in the chord or not, and which notes are the sort of resolution of the musical problems. You need to know that as a musician. You need to understand how your work is functioning within the larger piece. So that's why it's important you learn it. So take this time when we can't have rehearsals, unfortunately, to learn how to write a major scale. And let me know if you're having problems, okay? Anyway, hope you have a great day. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.